We all know how expensive college can be, but having a solid plan for saving up in advance, that can make a huge difference to you and your kid, whoever's paying the bill.
Michael Masserant, Retirement Education Foundation, back with us now. First segment we talked about what to do with all those student loans. Now, when do you start saving for college?
Now.
Yes.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So this is, with today's data, most college tuition, on average, about half of it's being paid by parents, roughly a quarter-ish is being paid by the kids, and another quarter is being paid by scholarships and grants. That's kind of the breakdown on average. Everyone's got their own situation. So what
is that considered? Sorry for the interruption,
Sure.
Michael. But when it comes to, and this gets into more of the psychology of money, probably. But when it comes to paying for college, should kids have a little bit of stake in that, do you think?
Yeah, so, every parent feels different about this. Our 2 cents, based on what we've seen through the charity, is that if the kids have some skin in the game, they feel like there's more responsibility there for them. If the parents are just writing the blank check for the kids to go have a great time at college, we've seen some pretty ugly situations where the kids don't feel like they have the skin in the game, they don't feel the responsibility, and the parents end up paying for a 6 or 7 year really fun vacation for the kids at college. And so making sure they understand, listen, this is part of your responsibility as well, can help them succeed more at that college level.
Okay.
Michael, we hear about the 529 plan a lot. What is it, and when should people prepare for that?
So 529 plans are one of the most powerful tools to save for college. So you can contribute money into a 529 plan and often get deductions on your state taxes, which is great. So you get some tax benefits to put the money in. And then that money grows tax-free for use for educational purposes down the road for the kids. So it's kind of like a Roth IRA, if you will, for college savings. It's really powerful.
And you can open those for anybody, right?
Essentially anybody.
Like you got a nephew, or I don't know, does it have to be a family member? Or?
So it doesn't have to be a family member. You can open it for anybody. Now, it really is powerful to save money into those accounts. The one consideration to be aware of is that down the road, if you use that money for something other than college expenses, so it can be tuition, it can be room and board, it can be books, it can be a laptop, whatever is used for education. But if that student doesn't go to college or they don't do something education related, there are penalties to get that money back out if it's not being used for education purposes.
Yes.
And what if you have money in there and they don't spend that amount on college?
For sure, they may get scholarships, they may get support somewhere else. Now, there's a new thing that Congress is beginning to introduce here, where if there's unused 529 money, then down the road you can roll that money into a Roth IRA for that person. So if, let's say, a child gets a scholarship, they don't quite need all the 529 money, not a problem. You can roll that 529 money into a Roth for them down the road and help supercharge the child's retirement savings, which is a really powerful tool.
You can also, having 3 kids, I know this, but you can scooch that money from one account to another.
You can.
Penalty
so
free.
529s, if someone's got 3, obviously like you, 3 children, and one child needs more or less, you can slide the 529 funds back and forth as needed. Absolutely.
Michael, the cost of college seems, even, I don't want to say I'm an old man or anything like that, but when I went to Michigan back in the late 90s and early 2000s,
he has to get that in.
I feel like it was, I don't want to say manageable, but some of these costs feel so unmanageable right now, just the cost of college, period.
Yes, I mean, we were teaching a high school class yesterday, actually, at the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, and speaking about this exact topic, where the cost of college has gone parabolic. Inflation has been hot for a lot of things in the past decade or so. Nothing compares to college. The cost of college has been unbelievable. And I don't want, this can get a little political. I'm not trying to get any...
Nobody's getting smarter, are they?
But it's really 2 main things. Number one, there's been less support from the state funding. So colleges are getting less support from state funding, meaning colleges need some more income from the students themselves. But number 2 is that college is becoming, in some aspects, big business. I mean, they're building beautiful buildings, state-of-the-art gyms, the sports teams are getting all this NIL funding, and so it's becoming sort of a business to attract out-of-state, out-of-country students to have these huge tuition incomes. So there are a couple of things that are going on there, but the fact of the matter is that it's not getting cheaper anytime soon.
The one thing that you can do, the one thing that you have on your side, if you're starting early, is you have time.
Absolutely.
So when you put money, you know, we started this when our kids were born, day one. As soon as they got a Social Security number, starting to save for their college.
Great.
Yeah, I was literally going to say, I got my daughter's Social Security card in the mail, and within an hour and a half, her 529 was open.
Right.
That's awesome.
And
that's
funding
fantastic.
money, so that now that money has 18 years to grow for her to go to college down the road.
And even what we do is for nieces and nephews, that's their birthday and Christmas present. We don't have physical gifts. We donate to their college funds.
That's great.
Many people in the family don't have any, in our family, in our extended family, don't have those accounts set up.
That's great.
I do that all the time.
Ours.
I love whenever we have family friends who their kids are having birthdays. I ask them, hey, is there a 529? Because you know, and the parents tell us, look, our kids have enough toys. They don't need more toys.
Right.
And so I say, great, love it. What's their 529 code? And it's a quick little 6-digit code. Put money in the 529, and they're going to appreciate it. Trust me.
That's great. Get on that now if you haven't done that yet. Michael Masserant, Retirement Education Foundation.
All right, welcome back, everybody. After a 5-year pause, really starting during pandemic, the Education Department will begin collection on federal student loans in default starting today. So millions of borrowers will be impacted by this.
Our good buddy, financial expert Michael Masserant from the Retirement Education Foundation joins us now to share what borrowers can expect and how they can manage that student loan debt. So, hello, Bills. Right? I mean, you had this not around for years, and now...
just explain, can we just take one step back? Can you just give us a rear view look at what happened with students? So student loan debt, up until pandemic, it was a fairly normal repayment process?
So up until 2020, COVID was to your point, relatively normal repayment process. And just to put some numbers on this, so there's about 1.6 trillion, with a T, trillion dollars of federal student loans out there. About 43 million Americans, about 1 in 6 people, have federal student loans, whether it's students, whether it's parents who took out loans for their kids, or grandparents who took out loans for grandkids. This is a pretty wide problem that we're facing here now. And for a long time, it was a relatively normal payback process. And then COVID came around, everything got thrown off, and there was a national pause on student loan repayment and on interest. And so for a lot of people who had those student loans, it kind of became, you know, it fell off the radar mentally because it wasn't a problem for a while. And people have adjusted to not needing to fit that student loan repayment into their budget. So now that student loans are coming back on the radar and are going to be required again, a lot of people are going to be realizing, oh shoot, I do have $20, $30, $50,000 or more of student loans, and that's going to become part of my budget again here pretty soon.
Wow, and these are low interest loans?
So they can be low interest loans. The average federal student loan interest rate is roughly 6.5%. So they can be as low as 3% or so, but they could be as high for some of the parent loans as high as 8%.
Okay.
So it really depends on when you got the loan and what interest rate you have. And that's one of the challenges that a lot of people, especially younger students, just are not equipped to make these decisions, because a lot of these, you know, kids who are 16, 17, 18, making these choices on where to go to school, it's driven by what football team do they like, where their friends are going, and hopefully what degrees are they looking at. But a lot of them don't recognize, well, if I take out $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 of student loans, you're not paying back that number. You're paying back that number plus interest over the next 10, 20, 30 years.
So now all of a sudden you haven't had that bill coming to you every month, and now you look up, and whether it's $200, $500, whatever the cost is, you have to come up with that money in your monthly budget. What do you do?
So you got to cut spending somewhere else, and if you don't cut spending somewhere else, they may start garnishing wages. So they're pretty serious about this. They're going to start either withholding tax refunds to start collecting income on this, or start garnishing wages.
Who is the they in this scenario, Michael?
So the Treasury Department, the government.
Got it.
Yep. And so this isn't something that your employer can really fight. If the Treasury Department says, hey, one of your employees owes student loans, they're not paying, it is what it is. They're going to start garnishing wages.
Wow. Okay. So there are options. You talk about a repayment plan. Pick a repayment plan. What does that mean?
Yeah, so if someone is falling behind on their student loans, the best thing that you can do is to not bury your head in the sand. You've got to get in contact with the lender and explain, listen, I owe $500 a month. I can't swing that. Let's figure something out. And a lot of these lenders will do something called an income-driven repayment plan. So depending on how much income you have coming in, your bill that you'll pay will be a percentage of how much you have coming in.
And then, do most of student loans go through the federal government? Is that how most people borrow money?
So that's typically the cheapest route. If there are private loans, those are typically more expensive. So the government typically offers the cheapest interest, lowest interest rates on loans. So most people will start there, and once they tap out their government loans, they'll go to a private loan source.
And private loans probably were not forgiven.
Not at all.
At this
No.
point. Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
And that's this is one of the things that we're teaching in the high schools now, and really the high schoolers have been really excited to figure out. Wait a minute, I want to go to this school, but it costs how much per year? Holy smokes, maybe that's not the right choice for me. Or maybe I'll do 2 years at a local community college and get the 2 years knocked out cheaper. And it's really cool to see them kind of connect the dots on understanding the choices we're making today have long-term impacts on our life down the road.
It's like it's one of the reasons why it's probably easier to get into the University of Alabama than the University of Michigan or Michigan State or anything. They want that out-of-state tuition.
Out-of-state tuition. I mean, it's honestly, out-of-state tuition is unbelievable. It really is.
Yeah, and that's why you got to think long and hard. This is a good time to have those discussions. In fact, next hour with you, we're going to talk about when to start saving and how to make this hurt a little less.
Absolutely, for the parents and for the kids.
Yeah, for both.
A lot of pain there.
All right, and this starts today, this repayment program.
So it does start today, and so people have a 9-month window. If they're not paying for 9 months, they're officially in default at that point. And that 9-month window is the trigger period for when they might start to feel some pain on their paychecks, whether they want to or not.
All right.